In this video, I'm going to break down some different short form editing styles that I like at the moment, from really highly edited to not much editing at all, across story, tutorial walkthroughs, voiceless, faceless, animation, etc. And I'm just going to go through them, talk about why I like them and show you the differences between them, why I think they work and why I think some don't work, and hopefully you're just going to get some ideas and inspiration for where to take your own editing style. So I've created a little board in freeform here. And I've started to put in videos. It took me ages, by the way. And so we've got high level of editing to low, and then we've got, like I said, story, tutorial, walkthrough, no voice, non-talking head, faceless. I haven't finished this. I started doing it this week, but I thought that I would make a video out of this because I thought it would be good and interesting. And I'm also going to talk about why I've actually done this related to the content agency I'm building, and it will all make sense. So first, starting at kind of the story creators, editing high level. These guys and girls are top tier. This is the hardest style to master and takes a very long time. And I just want to kind of play some videos from this from some creators that I like.
Hi, so you want to edit like a pro. Step 1, choose the perfect.
So much editing going on here.
And brings your edit to
music is great.
Right, and the energy is unmatched. Step 2, master your sequence. Trim your foot.
The thing with these styles,
all my ideas start the same, with doubt. It happens every time. Thoughts that I'm not good enough always fill my mind. The secret, just ignore them.
There's so much,
because when you dare to move forward,
there's so much planning and editing involved here. These just require a long time to get to this point. I really like my friend Nixon.
15 years ago today, I downloaded Instagram. Now, this was back when it looked like this. Oh geez, remember. So I've seen...
His style is more just cutting and B-roll rather than sort of any after effects. And I really like this creator here. She creates really good videos. Again, lots of cuts, lots of B-roll, lots of A-roll. And I think if you're a creator, like, if your goal is to get to that point, you should be realistic in that it takes years and years to master that style, because you have to be good at storytelling, knowing how to like use a camera, just being really creative with your shots, because there's different shots every couple of seconds and those videos take ages and ages to make. And if I compare that to just like a sort of a mid-level storyteller, we look at this video here.
This world were mine.
Hey. Midjourney sounds complicated, right? Yep. That's at least what people think at first. You know, I thought the same way, but...
Nothing wrong with this video. This video is also great. But if you just compare the level of editing...
Skills doubt. That's something I learned the hard way. I'd spend hours debating if an idea was good enough.
The complexity of this video is just far more than these videos. But that's not to say that the mid-level editing videos in the story section can't do well. It's just when you're comparing like the difference in editing level, there's a big difference there. And if we go down to the low versions, these are styles that I've seen do well. This one does really well at the moment.
Maybe the point of AI in fashion isn't to feel real.
Where it's like a green screen and essentially just pictures. Very low level of editing here. This is a style that a lot of people can master, and it's actually really effective on social media with the green screen at the moment. And then you've got other ones where...
I believe more small creators are
just talking head. The thing is about story is that you can have a really good video pop off if the story is really good. I think when you're a high-level editor and you introduce storytelling, it levels up your videos quite a bit. But I also feel like the story doesn't have to be as good to do well compared to someone that's just talking straight to the camera, because the visual storytelling adds to the kind of spoken storytelling, and they combine together to level up. And so if you're just doing sort of talking head storytelling, you really have to get good at that. And I think sometimes the off-the-cuff raw storytelling does really well. These editing styles that are the highly polished ones are all scripted, they're all planned to a T, and again, it just takes a long time to actually get good at. We've then got kind of the tutorial walkthrough creators. This is where I kind of sit, and these again vary in levels from highly edited to a little bit of editing. I'm just going to talk through the differences in the editing in this category, and these are generally people that kind of sit at a desk. I should have said that the story guys and girls are more so where they're you know, moving around, there's different shots, they're in different locations. The tutorial walkthrough creators like myself usually just sit at a desk and have different levels of editing animations. So we have this creator here.
By Artlist. So if I press this button, I can generate a natural high quality voiceover.
Everyone knows that the key to delivering emotions is through sound.
This is next level editing, After Effects. That's going to take a long time to learn. Something that I don't think does take a long time to learn, whose style I love, is Callaway's.
You can now build apps fully with AI that actually look good. This is called Bolt, and all you need to—
He uses a mixture of 50-50, then going back to him as full screen, as you see like that.
Into Bolt.new. It's literally that easy. Bolt builds the entire app.
His style is somewhat similar to mine, but he's a bit more fast-paced and a bit more storytelling style. But all the visuals are kind of static visuals compared to the previous creator. I wish I could call them all by their names, but I'm so bad at names, even though I watch his creators all the time. And then you have like Rourke's. I love Rourke's style. Rourke's style is certainly using After Effects, a little bit more complex than Callaway's.
Artlist just released their own AI video generator, and I tested it out.
Very dynamic again though.
Different products, and it can actually generate text flawlessly. Not only that, but you can generate images.
It's a mixture of static images, but
generator to bring the ideas to life. I also tested out the physics on this video generator.
Again, there's a subtle difference there, and his placement of himself is a little bit down the bottom here, where Callaway's is 50-50, and he does A-roll like that, where you won't see Rourke do that. It's a similar with Seb. Seb does a mixture of full 50-50, mixture of kind of integrating the bottom and top of the person. And then I'm not going to go through my style. And then you also have this style, which is kind of the green screen style, but a little bit more advanced than the green screen style. This is green screen, but with video. Like filming on the laptop. I like this style. It's very quick and fast-paced.
Generate websites like these. Then with a simple click of a button, you add a 3D. Bolt.
Everything is kind of just in time, and these videos take still a long time to make because it's visually showing the right thing at the right time with your voice, which is what takes a long time to create this style of videos. When we look at some creators who I also really like here, but we're just judging their editing style in terms of complexity. If we look at Adam's style,
amateur. Watch this. Veed's text to video tool just changed everything for content creation.
His animations at the top, they're a little bit more static. They're not as bouncy and dynamic. If we look at this creator here as well.
Photos are costing you sales. Here's an easy fix with Flux AI. First, name your model.
You see the same? So you see just a little thing here. There's no zoom in to kind of the typing going in the left-hand corner, which is what I probably would have done. So it's very more static. There's not much movement going on here and not much zooming in on the specific things to highlight what's being spoken about in the visual. And that's kind of where I see the main differences between content in this section compared to content in this section. And then if we look at right at the lower end, you just have,
if you're a content creator, a designer, storyboard artists, pretty much anyone using generative AI imagery, this massive Midjourney update just quietly dropped. No one's talking about this thing. I'm going to show you how you can get...
So we're 12 seconds into the video here, and there's been no visual overlays to show what this guy's talking about when he's talking about Midjourney's update.
Character shots, product shots that you just missed into the...
It takes like 40 seconds to get into visuals, and there's very little editing there. But not to say that this doesn't work and doesn't get views, but it's very difficult to get away with content like this without visually... If you're talking about something visual, you should be showing it visually ASAP like all the other guys do. Similar here, no disrespect to this content creator, but I think it would be nice to show some more visual overlays rather than just the logos there. Again, just judging it by how much editing there is. You can definitely work towards getting to a style that's high level up here. It just requires your editing and skills to just be a bit better. But I'm going to talk about that at the end as well. Next up, we've got no voice. I actually haven't filled this in yet because I've been trying to find, a lot of these videos are brand, product, service based. And yes, there are loads of like voiceless creators on Instagram with the 7-second reel styles, but I'm trying to find ones that are applicable to like products and services. So I really like this creator. He does a lot of lighting. Forget his name. Not too complex in the editing style, but there is quite a bit going on here in terms of cuts and visuals, similar to with this content as well. I think the voiceless content for products and services is hard to do at a really highly edited level. If you know anyone that does this stuff, not the cinematic stuff on Instagram, but like somebody that's like showcasing a product or service with no voice, let me know if there's any creators that you really like do that, and just drop it in the comments. We've then got the mid-level editing stuff. I mean, this voiceless stuff does really, really well. I'm not denying that. I'm just trying to think like what would appeal to a brand like in order for them to pay for this content. I love this video. Often it's about the music as well, obviously, when there's no voice, and just the pacing. Again, you've got some curiosity-driven text hook here. Some emotion there. That's on the Adobe Firefly product. That actually did so many views there. And then you've got some other ones like this where it's just sort of like somebody at their laptop just visually showing them doing, you know, an edit or tutorial. Not really highly edited. Again, this content does well. It's a style that you could adopt if this is applicable to your niche. And then we kind of just have, I guess, some really low editing ones where it's just sort of filming a laptop here, really not much editing going on at all. If you're doing voiceless with really not much editing, I think the videos are going to struggle to perform well because there's just not enough going on. Usually you'll find on Instagram with all of the really quick sort of 7-second reels, there's lots going on to keep you sort of stimulated visually if it's only music there. And then last, we've kind of got the non-talking head, sort of like faceless. This is what I defined as people who are essentially like not talking directly to the camera. So they may be in the video, they may not, or they may just be using a voiceover. I love this editing style, this animation style.
Every idea, because you really never know what's going to work and what's not going to work.
It's really, really fast paced. Requires a high degree of editing skill to do this, and just to have the imagination as to what to like put on the screen. I also found another creator doing this style. There's lots of creators that do this style.
I'll show you how to animate like Sutok's original.
It's just really like silky smooth, really good for product showcases, etc. We've also got Maximize as well, who kind of create a little bit of a movement with this sort of storytelling sport inspiration style. Lots of B-roll here, lots of kind of dynamic editing. I really like this one edit here. This edit here I really love. Again, if you're not someone that wants to show your face, then I think, you know, developing a really nice clean editing style could be really effective. I actually really like this style as well. It's a mixture of somebody in the shot, voiceover. It's kind of like IRL B-roll, but then also screen recording with the voiceover. Again, it's just smooth. Like when you can create smooth, I love the way that he also just switches from IRL back to screen recording. I think that's really nice and quite unique. Hard to actually get right and smooth. That's a nice shot there. And then we've kind of got the mid-level editing here. We're looking at kind of, I've just come across this creator, his kind of
this 3D
great.
model, no sketch, no sculpting, just ChatGPT and some brain cells. You're looking.
Again, he's just using a voiceover with static texts, some sort of like screen recording here. Very, not too difficult to edit in this style, but difficult to execute like effectively to make it engaging. We've then got this style as well, which is kind of similar to this style here, but not as polished. It's kind of these creators that instead of screen recording, they just film the monitor. This can be really effective for sharing products and services and tutorials. He does do a bit of screen recording there, but it's mainly him just positioning his camera. There's quite a bit of editing in this though as well, and it is quite nice and clean. When we look at the lower editing stuff, it's more so just
amazing websites you need to see. Part 6.
It's not too different than what's before. It's just not as much in these ones. There's a bit too much going on in this style here. It's a bit too quick and fast paced, and my eyes are everywhere. Sometimes you need to make sure that what you're showing is just sort of, my eyes are able to keep up with it, otherwise it is just too hard. Right, so what we've got here is styles for V1, and essentially what these are the different styles that I've identified across kind of my niche and similar niches in the SaaS space. And what we want to do is, within the content agency, when brands come to us, we want to be able to offer them a load of different styles that they could choose from. And then we then go and figure out how to create these by either using creators, actors, or in-house editors. And what I've had to do is basically evaluate these different styles based off of the board that I've just gone through, and think about how difficult are they essentially to execute at a high level from an operational perspective, whilst also being cost efficient. And when we look at these talking head showcase IRL ones, these have a very high difficulty in creating, and so you need creators that are quite a high level, and these creators usually have a large following, and so therefore they're expensive. The only way that we could execute this style for a brand is if I find creators that have a small following that can do this, and usually they come from a professional background. Usually they have some experience in videography or photography or filmmaking, and they've just started social media and they don't have much of a following. Problem is they still might be quite expensive because they come from a professional background, so they kind of already charging quite a lot. And so I'm not sure if that is a style that is really going to be sustainable, because I will have to constantly search for small creators that can basically edit, film, record, plan in that style. Next up, we've got sort of the faceless 3D animations, ones that I showed you at the end. These ones, I love these. It requires quite a bit of skill from an editor, but you can just use an AI voiceover or an actor. I think these are really, really high value. I think brands would love these for launches, for product updates, feature updates. And I think all you really need to do is just collect a load of videos in this style and train an editor in-house, and then work with the client to develop the script or the story and then do the voiceover. This, I think, is going to be a style that brands love, so definitely focus on this style. Next up is the talking head showcase. These are kind of the ones that I showed up here, where I fall into. And again, these require a high level of skill, but because the person is just sat at a desk on a talking head, actually you can replace that person with an actor. You can replace the person with an actor, and you can also train an editor in-house to replicate some of those styles to some degree, whether it be more of the static, fast dynamic shots, or like Rourke's here where it's more After Effects. And essentially you can basically push out videos to this standard with an actor that therefore brings the cost down, because you don't have to use an influencer like these guys, or like me, who would typically cost quite a bit of money. Next up, we've got non-talking head IRL showcase. So these are essentially the creators that aren't talking directly to the camera, but they have themselves in it. We wouldn't be able to use an in-house editor probably to create these, because the creators in it, they would have to create the videos themselves most likely and plan them out. And so we're looking at really mid-tier creators here, because mid-tier creators aren't going to be too expensive. They're not all of them are going to be influencers, not all of them are going to have loads of work, and so actually this is an option to find people like this. The only problem is quality isn't as high, it's not as visually as appealing. Will that appeal to brands? I don't know yet. Next up, we've got Voiceless IRL showcase. I like this style for social. I think it does really, really well. Do I think brands will pay for it? I don't know. That's the big question here. When we look at this Photoshop one that I showed you, would a brand pay for that? I don't know. Would they pay for it if it's going on their organic and we could produce them at high volume for not much cost, because it increases the chance of them getting views, because these are very good for brand awareness. I find that brands don't tend to really like voiceless videos, because again, it's not really, you're not saying the product or feature. I don't know, it's difficult to create a good service or product video that's voiceless and be engaging. There are ones that exist, don't get me wrong. I'm just sort of saying, comparing it to the other ones and whether or not brands would like it or not. You also have to find, again, mid-tier creators, and that also causes a problem in itself, because finding creators means that you've got to find creators, you've got to deal with creators, contracting, back and forth, quality control, all of that might cause more problems, time, effort, etc. Next, we've got screen recording showcase, B-roll, and voiceover. This is essentially creators that are not in the videos. And again, they're just using screen recording. They're not actually doing any IRL filming, so you don't actually need a person. And so these can be done by an in-house editor with a voiceover or from a mid-tier creator. I think this is a great style to go after as an agency, because you could train in-house editors on basically different styles that people have done. It doesn't require much skill to copy these styles, and then you could just use a voiceover, or you could find mid-tier creators. And then last but not least is Voiceless Screen Recording Showcase. This is essentially like, let me just show this video here. This is essentially, as I said, it's got nobody in it, it's got no voice, it's just purely music and just showcasing. Again, I don't know how much a brand would like these. Again, they do well on social, especially on Instagram. You could use an in-house editor and also a mid-tier creator. And so I left this note here. These are the styles I think are easiest to execute to a high level, whilst also being operationally efficient once our editors are trained. So that's the in-house editor creating the super like animated style. This one here, I didn't actually play this one. Let me just show you this one. I love this style. Brands will love this. Brands will eat this up. Again, in-house editor can be trained on that. We've then got like the style that mine falls into. And I said in the last video, we're essentially productizing my style and finding other creators who create in similar styles to me, and also productizing their style by just building a library of lots of these. We're not copying them. We're building a library of lots of creators that are editing that style, and we'll train editors to basically be able to dynamically showcase visuals using After Effects, Premiere Pro, along with an actor. And by actor, I mean basically finding somebody that fits the profile that the brand wants in terms of demographic, you know, where they're from, XYZ, and basically finding someone that's, you know, got a good voice, good camera presence, maybe as a smaller creator, like they know how to kind of project their voice in front of a camera and sound confident. Feed them a script, they read the script, look like they're kind of looking at the screen or their laptop, etc., and then feed the visuals on top. And then last is the in-house editor, voiceover actor, because these videos are nice because they've got nobody in them, and so they're easy to build in-house. And brands also might like them because they might actually not want anyone in the video themselves. You know, they might not want to have somebody in their content on their organic page or in ads or on their website, and actually it could just be something that they could use in multiple places, because they can also have more control over the voice. And so yeah, at the moment we're just figuring out how to actually package this all up and showcase it to brands. We're now working on building a more extensive library of what I've shown here, getting more examples in different styles so that we can go to brands and present these styles and say, yep, right, this is your product or service. We can take that product or service and drag and drop it into this style and create this video to this level. And we also just need to figure out what styles brands are going to want. I've kind of said, oh yeah, I think brands will like this style, but we don't actually know that yet. So we're going to do that, figure out the journey mapping, figure out like what is the kind of user experience and flow look like on the website. So when they come on the website, they fill in a form or fill in something that says, I like this style, these are my goals, these are where I want it to go. So for example, brand comes on the website, maybe they have got an update and coming up and they want 10 videos to spread awareness, to go on organic ads in their website, and they go, I want 2 of this style, 3 of this style, 5 of this style, and then I'll be responsible for figuring out like how to actually execute those based off of what I've talked about in this video, by looking for the actors, training the editors, and then kind of working with Jono, the operational guy, to make sure that we can deliver. Again, this is all V1, very early stages. But I just wanted to walk through some of the styles that I've pulled together. Sorry this was a little bit rough around the edges. Hopefully it was valuable. I think as I build the library out and I build more styles and more viral video libraries, I think I'm definitely going to do this style of video again, a bit more polished, a bit more sort of I talked about a lot in this video. Let's not get twisted. I covered a lot. I think I might do another video where maybe I just break down the storytellers from high to low and just do that as one video. But yeah, just wanted to just experiment with this style of video a little bit, just raw. Just as I said, this channel is now just going to be me creating whatever I want, just what I'm doing, and hopefully find valuable. Let me know in the comments if there's anything you wanted me to go into more detail about, or whether you liked it or not. But yeah, if you got this far, thanks so much for watching. I really appreciate it, and I'll see you in the next video.